We're in the information age, but facts are in short supply. Reject the noise, ask bold questions, and pursue the truth with FBI whistleblowers and founding suspendables Garrett O'Boyle and Steve Friend. This is the American Radicals Podcast.
It is the American Radicals Podcast on a Saturday. The weekend's here. Congratulations, guys. You made it through the turmoil of yet another Monday through Friday, and we are glad to be part of your weekend. Whatever you're doing, you could be doing some household chores, some yard work, some shopping, whatever it is. We're glad the American Radicals Podcast is here to keep you company, as we are always here on Saturdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:30 Eastern Time on rumble.com/amradpod. Please give us a nice thumbs up or a follow or a subscribe if you haven't already. Check out us on iTunes and Spotify and iHeart. That's the audio only, but some people prefer that as well because who needs to look at our mugs? But we drop the shows there right after we get done recording them Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 10:30 Eastern Time. Definitely give us a 5-star review so that we can trick the algorithm into getting more people to become radicalized like every good American. As a Saturday, the tradition is back. We had to miss last weekend because it was July 4th, but we're back at it. It's a Saturday grab bag edition. We're talking about some news stories that might have eluded your attention. It's going to include some tyranny at the schoolhouse level. That's going to be for vaccinations and LGBTQ rainbow kamikaze madness and DEI. The president can now fire whoever he wants. Whew, chief executive actually gets to do executive things. Student loan forgiveness could actually help us purge communists out of the government. Big tech is offshoring jobs. A city is fining a person for having chickens. California is getting smacked in the face by its own madness concerning net zero carbon emissions. Some fossils are gay for reasons. And then we're going to go into the worst movie list that has ever been constructed in the history of America. So a lot to get to today. It's all across the board. It's a nice smorgasbord, Saturday grab bag edition. But before we get to all of that, guys, let's thank our sponsor for today, which is the OG sponsor of the American Radicals Podcast. That's the True Earth Pharmacy. Go to trueearth.co, trueearth.co, and check out what they got there in their gardening section, the fertilizers that they have available, the new squid extract, seeing amazing results. So you have a garden or a homestead, you want to have a good yield, check out what they got there. Or if you want to get personally healthy, highly recommend taking the turmeric trio, the black turmeric as well, if you got some inflammation issues. They also have some other goodies in there to help you concentrate, maybe even relax, and maybe you have a stressed out pet. All of it available in the pharmacy section, spelled with an F. This is all at trueearth.co, and you can get 10% off. Support us and support them. You just need to use our promo code, which is AMRAD25, AMRAD25, and that is that. Let's get to it. It is a Saturday grab bag, which I have to have my partner in crime for. And when I say crime, FBI Security Division, we aren't committing actual crimes here. We just have character issues. And that is at GOB Actual, my good friend, Garrett O'Boyle. Good to see you.
Show me the man and I'll show you the crime, Steve. That's how the FBI and the Justice Department like to attack whistleblowers. They tried. They failed. At least as far as I know.
I'm at least going to put you in some sort of like murderous rage with some of the first things that go on here, because I want to talk about some schoolhouse tyranny, multiple stories about the vaccines and about some First Amendment issues and about some DEI. I mean, it's all across the board, and it's at a local level. So as somebody who schools their children at home, and as another person here who sends their kids to small Christian school, we can rest easy, I guess, but we just definitely have to weep for the future of America because their votes count as much as ours do. So let's begin. And first one is Massachusetts school district will exclude unvaccinated students this fall.
So much for inclusiveness.
Well, this is the Newton Public Schools.
Government school.
Mm-hmm. in the great state of Massachusetts. George Hill, sorry, we just love to bang on your Communist Republic of Massachusetts. They're now
The commies make it too easy, George. Sorry, love you, mean it.
They will now require all students to be vaccinated before returning in 2025 in the fall, but they are allowing for certain medical and religious exemptions. You have to just have those out there as a throwaway. And I wonder what sort of vetting will go on. I know from my experience, from what I heard, especially in the FBI, when we put in for religious exemptions to the coronavirus vaccine, apparently conversations were had that seemingly too many people were finding Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the unvaccinated students were allowed to enroll during the coronavirus pandemic because there were some emergency policies, but those have now been waived. And the superintendent, her name is Anna Nolan, she confirmed that all those waivers are now revoked. In the final memo, Garrett, and this is the very much hell make aspect of this. The memo stated that any unvaccinated students who is exposed to measles will be required to stay home for 21 days. And the district said that it is not required to provide compensatory education during that quarantine period, even though it would be using the exact same technology that they used 5 years ago for coronavirus.
Allegedly free, Steve. Allegedly free. Would a free nation actually do this? Would the government take it upon themselves to say, no, you're not welcome here. We're going to make it as difficult as possible because you have a respiratory cold that was created with the help of Anthony Fauci in a Chinese lab, which now that seems like it's commonplace that people know that now. But no, you don't want to get the experimental gene juice jabbed into your kids so they can't come here to the government school that your tax dollars pay for.
Now, look,
And the arbitrariness too. This first story, literally, Steve, everything we talk about on a tri-weekly basis. Did I lose you?
no,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm like, oh.
I was wrapped with attention there.
Yeah, it's befuddling to me because it's 2025, right? Last I checked, 2025. America, we're so back, baby. We're so based. What did I just saw something recently. Donald Trump, who was it? You may have seen this. He was talking to someone, I forget who it was, and they said, yeah, he asked me, like, why do people boo when I bring up the COVID vaccine? And it's like, okay, I mean, at least you're trying to find out why. And then he stopped bringing it up because he missed the boat on that one. He thought it was such this great achievement. It wasn't. People don't want it. A lot of the people who got it didn't want it, and the people who got it who did want it. We just saw this lady today. We were in the in the pit, Steve. We were in the pit of Milwaukee, and it was this woman who did not look very healthy, standing at a bus stop with a mask around her neck and a cigarette in between her fingers. And my oldest daughter, Gwen, said, that lady has a mask? And I was like, okay, at least maybe I'm doing something right over here, because she recognized the mask and thought, that's weird. That's odd. Like, why are you wearing that mask? And around your neck, no less. And then another piece to this, our friend of the show, even though we've never had him on, Rob Green, I've got his book on my shelf back here. He was one of these outspoken military members during the COVID stuff. Pete Hegseth's Department of Defense is coming after him now. He put a long post out the other day. I think I saw it after our show on Thursday that he put out, or maybe it was the Wednesday night. But I'm like, what is happening here? Well, and then, look at us, Steve. Here we go. 1,000, I don't know, 19, 20, something like that days. A little bit more for you. But yeah, man, we're freaking back, and America's as free as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm. The coercion aspect to that story is really the most disturbing thing, because how many parents are going to say, look, the chances my child contracts measles, even though that's remote, well, they're going to be home for 3 weeks and they're not going to be able to catch up, or they might miss too many days as a result of that. And then they're going to have to repeat the grade. It's just not worth it. Let's just go ahead and get the jab. And that's
right.
The same story that we saw 5 years ago.
Chances are you're going to be okay. Yeah, chances are. but still look at the spike in all sorts of things as the vaccine schedule has increased. So has autism and asthma and eczema and whatever other, a litany of other disorders. And like me, you are an asthmatic. Let me know if your experience was different. But when I was a kid, even a cold would set me back quite a bit, staying home from school. And just a few days, it's taken you a week to catch up. And now the government is going to make you stay home for 3 weeks. And then on top of it, they're going to caveat it and say, and we're not required to actually help you catch back up with your learning. But yeah, man, we're from the government and we're here to help.
I missed the first day of school once because of the asthma. So I don't think too many people have had that experience. You missed the first day. Yep, I stayed home sick. All right. All right. Second story about schooling, and this is at a collegiate level. And this is a guy who held the line on free speech, and I think he's about to get paid, which is awesome, because reporting from the Daily Wire, there's a new trial that is underway for a UCLA professor who refused, quote, exercise compassion with race-based grading. And this goes back to 2020, not coronavirus, but the summer of love and the BLM madness. And the professor's name is Gordon Klein, and he was an accounting professor at UCLA. This lawsuit that he's brought against UCLA, which is a state-run institution, is for $22 million, and I hope he gets it all.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the summer of love, weeks after St. George Floyd's death, Klein received an email from a group of his students asking for a, quote, no-harm final exam that could only help their grades and would involve shorter tests and extended deadlines for the final assignments. The students asked for special accommodation due to the traumas we have. Get this, these are college-educated kids at this point, or at least in the process. Quote, traumas, we have been placed in a position where we must choose between actively supporting our Black classmates or focusing on finishing up our spring quarter. Barely in English, but basically they wanted to get a test that if they took it, they could only help them. I want to get out of my final exams because, racism. So, Garrett, this guy's a total bro. He's a total suspendable. He puts in an email response some of the following lines to this student group. Thanks for your suggestion in your email below that I give Black students special treatment, given the tragedy in Minnesota. Do you know the names of the classmates that are Black? How can I identify them since we've been having online classes only? He also asked about students who may be of mixed race. What do you suggest I do with respect to them? A full concession or just half? Klein was suspended. He was only suspended for a couple of weeks, but at the same time, this is free speech, and he brought lawsuit even though he was reinstated. $22 million on the line, and I really hope that guy gets it.
I hope so too. The harm has already occurred. You would think I would have this one seared into my brain. I know I have it somewhere because I used it. I wrote it in my religious accommodation for the COVID vaccine. It's the Supreme Court case law that I'm going to get the quote. I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but it says that even for like a slight period of time, if your First Amendment right is trampled upon, you can't regain what was taken. And so this is a primary example of that, because, well, hey, I'm sure UCLA is saying, whoa, wait, we reinstated you. I'm sure their lawyers are filing motions to get this lawsuit tossed out or whatever. So good for him for sticking with it. 22 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Can we get a whistleblower fund like that?
That would be incredible. I'm just in my back of my head thinking, like, your First Amendment was impeded upon. Could you get like extra First Amendment rights in order to make it whole? Like, do you get to like actually throw out threats for a little while? No, it doesn't really work that way.
Let's see. We trampled on your First Amendment right for 6 months and 3 days. So you got 6 months and 3 days.
Death threats.
Whatever you want.
You can drop every racial epithet and we don't say a word. All right. Libs of TikTok has a Substack, Garrett. I didn't know that. And Shia is reporting here about another school problem that they have. This is in the state of Washington about a school that's ignoring Christmas and promoting LGBTQ rainbow kamikaze propaganda. So a parent sent a complaint letter to the Peninsula School District, respectfully voicing his concern that the school was displaying viewpoint bias and religious discrimination by promoting pride on social media, but ignoring holidays like Hanukkah, Easter, and Christmas. The school sent the parent a lengthy rebuttal letter, which means that how many people must have reviewed it? Well, I mean, it could have been just one rogue actor, but I'm betting it was several, where the school admits that they do ignore religious holidays. They claim that pride is okay to push on children because it's reality, whereas Christmas and Easter are not. On the district's website, multiple statements reveal the school is currently enforcing gender ideology policies through its Gender Inclusive Schools initiative, where they force kids to affirm pronouns and names and accept males in female bathrooms and in female sports. It's a reality.
This is loaded. This is so loaded. Now we've got a compelled speech aspect to it because they're forcing you to use the pronouns. But even just for the sake of argument, let's accept your premise that Christmas and Easter are fake, okay? And Hanukkah or whatever other. But the pride movement now encompasses LGBTQ. And so the T piece of that is just as fake as anything else, because you're not a woman if you were born a man, and you're not a man if you were born a woman. So your cultish holiday is as fake as anything out there. And now you're going to compel the speech, and you're going to say, oh dude, it's just there's so much, because they're going to put out that, well, the pride is a reality. Okay. Yes, I know, because we have a whole month that's dedicated to it from the heathens in our nation. But people still celebrate Easter and Christmas. Most still celebrate Christmas, at least in some degree or another. So whether you think it's fake or not, it's a reality. So if that's the argument we're going to use, well, then you need to recognize all of these things equally, because it doesn't take a religious scholar to look at the pride movement and hone in on all the cultish factors that it exhibits. So good luck, I guess. But look at our nation, the steps we're taking, and I have a feeling this is going to be an uphill battle.
The raw hubris involved in sending that. I mean, you just look at this father who's sending this letter like he's the scum on the bottom of your shoe. The plebeian swine. He's not one of the academic elites like you, who is lords on high and looks down from the ivory tower because he thinks, I bet there's an invisible person in the sky, right? He's a maniac. He doesn't know reality. He doesn't understand that gender's a spectrum.
They need to read the story of Nebuchadnezzar that we touched on last time, and we'll go through a little bit more later. But you can act and claim it's not real, it's fake, and you're gonna get broadsided one way or another someday by the truth.
I think the thing that offends me the most about Nebuchadnezzar is that, like, at least he was a worthy villain, like a tough guy. Like, we're getting taken down by these dudes who feel pretty right now, which doesn't speak well of us as a society.
No, does not.
All right, let's pivot away to something that's actually good. All right, and we're going to do a couple of like national news stories, but for the most part, try to focus on other things that eludes people's attention. This one, I think, got quite a bit of attention, and we're going to comment on it because it does impact you and me. Reporting from Reuters, the United States Supreme Court lifted an order that blocked Donald Trump's mass federal layoffs. I think the ruling was 8-1, with Ketanji Jackson being the one because she's the most retarded. So the justices lifted a San Francisco-based district judge. Her ruling, her name is Susan Ilston. She ruled in May that order blocked large-scale federal layoffs. Apparently, a district judge says, no, I'm in charge of personnel and HR issues to the president. This is for the reductions in force, the RIFs.
Mm.
This is also the fork. Remember, they tried to give the option to people for an
Oh,
early
yeah.
exit. Well, I mean, this is coming in July, Garrett. Like, that's not such a good deal anymore. It used to be
No.
like 7 months. Now it's 2. So Ilston, the judge, wrote in her ruling that Donald Trump had exceeded his authority by firing people who work for him in ordering the downsizing, siding with a group of unions and nonprofits and local governments, even though local governments are not employed by the federal government. Quote, as history demonstrates, the president may broadly restructure federal agencies only when authorized by Congress, she wrote. Now, that was pushed up then to an appeals court, and the appeals court ruled similarly to this crazy San Francisco judge. So we had to rush it onto the Supreme Court, and 8-1, they smacked both of those courts down. And here's the quote from the argument that the Department of Justice made that I think is just common sense. The Constitution does not erect a presumption against presidential control of agency staffing, and the president does not need special permission from Congress to exercise core Article 2 powers. So basic common sense. My takeaway here is, well, why didn't we just suspend everybody pending this decision that we wanted to get rid of?
Yeah. Easy.
I mean, this is great. This is awesome. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, all of the evildoers, particularly in the intelligence community where they had the ability to suspend people's security clearances, like you and like me, they've had unfettered access for the time being as this was waiting to come on down. There were other mechanisms out there at their disposal. So, I'm not going to let good be the enemy of perfect, but it didn't take me a whole lot to think this one through.
No. And this is one of the critical pieces I don't quite understand, because you could have started suspending people on day one and even put out the intent of we are going to reduce the force across the federal government. And so we're going to start just suspending people. And you can suspend people for pretty much any reason. You can suspend people for false reasons.
Yeah, I was saying, you don't need a reason. You just
Right.
make one up. You should
Just
say there was
make
an
up.
allegation.
Exactly right. There's an allegation, and boom, now you're suspended. And I would probably have to look into it a little bit further. That is, as we know, really easy with if you have a clearance of any sort. So fine, start with those people. But I would imagine, let's take the DEA. I'm sure there are some people there who have clearances for some reason or another, which, dang it, Steve, that opens up another can of worms as to, do we really need so many people with so many clearances? Probably not. But most DEA agents probably are doing regular criminal related work, don't have a clearance. I'm sure there are mechanisms in place in these agencies, because they've been around for so long now, that they have jiggered the system just like the FBI has with the clearances to do the same type of thing to somebody who doesn't have a clearance.
How about this other story? And this one's interesting because this is good. But it's almost like the ring of power. Like, I don't want it to exist, but I'll use it now, and then we need to cast it into Mount Doom. But again, like, isn't that the problem? That everybody thinks, well, I'll just use it for my own good. But the ring exists nonetheless, and it is in the name of a student loan cancellation program. Now, the Associated Press, they're very worried that it's become a retribution tool of Donald Trump, who is literally Hitler. But this could actually be an awesome tool to purge a whole bunch of communists. So let's get to this. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program allows government employees like teachers, firefighters, plus many who work in nonprofits to have their student loan canceled after 10 years. You make payments for 10 years, no matter what the balance is on it, it gets canceled. It was originally brought about in 2007 because the federal government said that the public sector didn't make as much money as the private sector, and they wanted to entice people to come on over. Now, in the federal level, the federal workers make way more than the private sector. So this is the thing that needs to go away entirely. But we're probably outvoted in that regard. This is the ring of power. Let's use it. So the Education Department is preparing an overhaul that would strip this benefit from organizations involved in what they're calling illegal activities. Now, that will be up to Linda McMahon, Secretary of Education, as to making that final decision. What are these illegal activities? Let's dig in a little further. So, a federal database of eligible nonprofits currently includes some that grant transgender youth and their families um, money so they can travel to states that give them gender affirming care. That's going to be an illegal activity. Those 501c3s, it's an illegal activity. And anybody who's working for them has had a break now in the 10 years that they've been working and they can't get their student loans. Okay. Uh, it also includes some nonprofits that do legal services for illegal aliens. Again, that'll be an illegal activity, as is evidenced by the term illegal alien. And you can't then get your student loans forgiven on the back of the American people because you're helping a bunch of illegal aliens.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just off the bat here, this headline that includes the word retribution. It's going to be a retribution tool. Is that what this is? Or is it an actual common sense approach? Because I haven't said it in a while, but what did we vote for in November? A mandate. That's what we keep hearing, or have for a little while at least.
Yeah, not the Lindsey Graham mandate, the actual mandate.
This is a piece of that. People turned out to vote for Donald Trump and Republicans writ large because they want the government to spend less money. They want the government to stop a massive influx of illegal immigrants, illegal aliens coming across. Look at that. They even get me with the language sometimes. They're not illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens. We have to be firm on our verbiage and our nounage, I guess, that more noun, but this is what people want. It's not retribution. It's responsible leadership, because the guy who you voted for says, you know what? Yeah, this is another mechanism we can use to try to move the ball across the finish line, because the people don't want the government spending so much money. Because if you work in the private sector, you're probably like, they take quite a bit of money out of my check every 2 weeks, and I have to now pay for people who work for the government to have their student loans covered. Are you dry shaving me over here?
Another illegal activity is going to be violations of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which they're going to interpret as diversity, equity, and inclusion. You engage in any of that, and they're going to pull your student loan forgiveness.
Good. I like it.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right. Let's go to the big tech. And one particular person who's in big tech, and that is one William Gates. Bill Gates. Microsoft is dumping thousands of American workers in favor of cheaper foreign techies. He's just such a compassionate guy, right?
Somebody hit that guy in the face with a pie, please.
So Microsoft workers have faced multiple waves of layoffs. The company has already cut over 10,000 employees, including 6,000 in May alone, hundreds more in June. They're saying that, well, it's less than 1% of our workforce. But still, 10,000 people out of work, Americans. But at the same time, Microsoft has filed over 14,000 labor condition applications, which are formal applications required to sponsor foreign workers for temporary employment visas. 82% of those people were tagged as having wages that were below the median salary for those occupations. So they're just going to hire a bunch of foreign workers to take the place of the American workers, which was kind of contrary to the mandate. Now, I know like a lot of the billionaire tech bros were then kind of like thrown in with the MAGA world because they wanted to catch on to that wave, hop on the surfboard. Is Bill Gates on that kick or not?
Yes.
I mean, I guess at this point, the guy's just going to be like the most vile, vicious possible villain possible. Like that's going to tick off the, America First crowd for sure. He's already on the vaccine kick and buying land up like the Chinese are, and going in and murdering a bunch of babies in Africa. Like he's trying to like get the entire bingo board filled up, isn't he? As like being the Antichrist.
It seems like it. And it makes me think again of Nebuchadnezzar. We get Bill Gates, like muffin top,
Perfect.
Man boobs. Like, come on. This is how far we've fallen. But on a more serious note, why is that guy so evil? Is Satan directly influencing him? Because how do you amass so much power when you're that guy? But he did. And I'm a techie. I'm a tech bro. But no, I also buy lots of farmland and I'm heavily involved in vaccine stuff. Like, what? This is an interesting crossover. You Beelzebub worshiper.
I think that just his disparate interests across the board kind of like show like what his actual aptitude is in. I don't think he's a guy who's like an Elon Musk who's really interested in the rocket aspects, like building it, the aerodynamics, the engineering. I think Bill Gates' aptitude, his ambition, what his real interest in is finding something that is because people come to you when you're at that level of wealth, right? I'm sure people are pitching ideas to him all the time. And he probably has an aptitude for saying, like, that's a good idea. That's not a good idea. That one will make me a lot of money, or I can exploit that one really well for me. And he's just got this demonic ability to pick those sorts of things, and that's why he's like doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on them as he's getting towards the end of his life, because like those are the true callings that he has.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he make a boatload of money off of the COVID vaccines too?
I think he did. I know at the very least, like it helped him push his initiatives to get the entire world vaccinated,
Yeah.
right? He talks about that equation where we have to bring that number down to 0, right? How are we going to do that? Well, eliminating the people certainly helps.
Yeah, right. Yeah. First, we'll offer them Krispy Kreme donuts or cheeseburgers, and then we'll force them to get it.
Warren Wilhelm all over that one. Bill de Blasio. All right. Jonathan Turley. Next piece. I first thought, oh, this is good. And then quickly came to the realization of, no, it's not, because it's Colorado and they are land of a lot of communists at this point, no longer cowboys. So it's entitled Ice Ice Baby. Denver City Council ends car theft tracking system to protect illegal immigrants. Jonathan Turley says illegal aliens. Now, for those who don't know, there are these devices out there. The acronym is LPR, license plate readers. It's kind of artificial intelligence. It's cameras that will take pictures of the license plate on a car, and they'll catalog it and create a database and be able to say like where the cars were at any given time. And police are using them for a multitude of reasons. I mean, like, let's say that there's a bank robbery and you have the vehicle description. You can actually track its travel using the license plate reader. So there are benign, innocent, and objectively good reasons to have it. But you're also developing a database on American citizens as they're just going about their regular routine. And that's sort of an intrusion on your privacy, even though people say, well, you have no expectation of privacy while you're traveling around. I don't care. I don't want the government knowing where I am at all times. But this one, the specific reason is not for civil liberties purposes. It's to help defend the illegal aliens. All right. So in May, the city council refused to renew Garrett. They refused to renew a $666,000 contract for camera monitors around 70 intersections to screen for car theft. That system resulted in, because here's the good reason. They have recovered 170 stolen cars, and they got 300 arrests out of this license plate reading system, but they're not going to renew the contract. Because it could also be used to assist ICE. That's all that matters. Councilman Kevin Flynn explained that it's all about Trump's election. Quote, we know that it can help solve crime, but I think it's maybe January 20th of this year, those concerns are greatly heightened and have a new reality about them. The mayor stated that they need to halt these arrests because, quote, today's environment is much different than when the pilot began in early 2024, and there are new community concerns surrounding this technology. Is it civil liberties based?
No, it is not, of course. And Steve, we gotta get our movie reference in here. So old school it is.
Moved to, what do you call it?
Denver.
Oh, the Sunshine State. On Denver. Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
It may be gorgeous, and that movie is pretty old these days, but get out of Denver, if you're in Denver. Just go visit if you want to see its beauty, or try to take it back. I don't know. Good luck. Good luck with that. It's the modern era's California, but these LPRs, did you have them when you were a cop, or were they
Yes.
not quite? Yeah, okay. My PD had just a few squad cars that had them on it, and I remember back then, even think of this, Steve. In my early days of law enforcement, I was like, I don't think I like that a whole lot because of the Fourth Amendment issue. And people might say, or especially if you're in law enforcement, like, what are you talking about? Everybody knows that you can run any plate on the roadway. If it's parked, if you can see it, if it's in somebody's driveway and you can see it, you can run it. There is no expectation of privacy there. Nonetheless, I still was like, yeah, but this thing is just a computer scanning the plates, super rapid. And the way ours worked, it would alert you if there was a warrant, if there was a revoked driver's license, things that may may excuse me, may stand out a little bit more. And I do remember when, I don't know, a sergeant or lieutenant or whatever said, like, no, if you guys get a hit on the plate, you have to manually verify that it's correct. Because sometimes, especially at night, it might read a digit incorrectly and then give you an incorrect plate. And so that's at least how the PD I was at kind of took on that potential civil rights issue. Was, no, if you get an alert from the LPR, you can look through the information still, but you need to verify that the plate is correct from what the LPR read. Now, this is 10 years ago, roughly. It's 2025. I imagine the technology and those things is a lot better than it was even then. And I guess the broader issue is you've got this councilman who's, I recognize that it can help stop and solve crime, but we don't want to stop a certain type of crime, aka illegal aliens. We don't want to help Donald Trump. Well, why? Because those people are committing crimes too. So take your mark of the beast and run with it, I guess.
That's an elected official who looks at his constituents as a lesser than his political outcomes that he wants to have happen. It's not just his election prospects. He views illegal aliens as being higher up on the rung than his own constituents, who would theoretically be assisted by this system if it was totally and wholly benign and innocent. Look, I mean, who cares if we don't arrest some car thefts? We really need to help the illegal aliens. Let me restate that differently. That's exactly how it should be stated. Look, we could stop our local constituents from having their cars stolen from them by a bunch of criminals, but that would mean that we would not be helping the illegal aliens who live here and don't vote for us or don't have any stake in the system, or hopefully don't vote for it. But now, who knows at this point with our election systems? This is a local news story, but it's it comes from Reason, and it's about government being overarching, and it's not even just that. It's an incompetency issue. So from Reason, she got a permit for her chickens. Now the city's fining her for $80,000. So in 2023, Catherine sought and received a permit directly from Douglas, Michigan. Barely a month later, the city told her that she would have to get rid of her chickens on account of a neighbor's complaint. So the county, or the city, originally passed a chicken ordinance, which gave neighbors a 21-day period within which to object. So if your neighbor starts housing some chickens and they're making noise and they're creating a problem, like, you can object to it and the city won't issue the permit. This process wasn't followed, though, since the neighbor's complaint came after the city had already issued the permit. The city basically forgot to let the neighbors know that they had 21 days. And at that point, enough time had elapsed. So they gave her the permit. She drops $23,000 to build a chicken coop and a privacy fence to shield the chickens. Then, when she refused to budge, the city began assessing a $300 a day fine, and it's now gotten up to $80,000. The city hasn't even clarified when the tolling period for the fine started, and if they actually go back and they go like by letter of the law, when she began raising the chickens, the fines are going to be over $200,000. $100,000. I mean, I understand that this is a King Solomon, I guess, esque type of thing where like you have a neighbor that raised a concern and did in what would have been the amount of time, but our bad, the quality of life. I don't think the right way to go is just keep assessing fines on the woman, right? Can
No,
we
of
not do
course
some sort of mediation?
not. Right. And at a minimum, then the government should say, okay, hey, look, we're really sorry we screwed up. You can't have the chickens. We will reimburse you for the costs. Heck, we'll even cover additional costs to re-manicure your lawn or whatever the case might be, but you can't have the chickens. Our bad. But no, Steve, because you don't actually live in a constitutional republic, you live in a tyranny, especially in Gretchen Whitmer's Michigan. Give me a break. That even at this local level, just keep hitting her with fines. She'll cave eventually. This is what the government does. This is what the government wants. This is what all governments throughout history have done. And now, hey, welcome to America, land of the allegedly free.
We screwed up, so you have to pay.
Yes, exactly right.
All right. And that's good because I want to go to this next story here about California, where they're screwing up and their people have to pay. And now they might actually have come to a moment of realization of, hey, wait a minute, we might have screwed up. So they're going to make the people pay again. And this is being reported by the San Francisco Chronicle. So and it'll become evident that it came from a San Francisco news source momentarily. The potential closure of the Valero refinery in whatever this town is highlights key gaps in California's energy transition strategy, a lack of planning for fuel supply disruptions, and an inadequate support for workers during the phase out of fossil fuels. So they didn't plan to have disruptions when they started shutting down these refineries. And they didn't plan for having a whole bunch of unemployed people when they shut down the refineries. They thought, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like many other states and countries, California has enacted greenhouse gas reduction policies to mitigate the, quote, increasingly costly and dangerous impacts of climate change. California does not have a strategy for helping the refinery workers and the communities when a facility closes. As a result of closing down the refineries where hundreds and thousands of people work, closures have been devastating. Workers have been laid off at another refinery. A year later, over a quarter of them were still unemployed. And the workers who had gotten a job had taken a 24% pay cut. Now, because it's California, they come up with the worst resolutions, right? So their assumption here is erroneous to begin with in the San Francisco Chronicle, Garrett. The assumption is, we'll of course fill the gap of energy. Like they don't like NFI, no further information.
How?
Like there'll be no shortage of power. Definitely not going to have skyrocketing energy costs for people who are already unemployed now because you put them out of a job. So what's the solution for California, according to this piece from the San Francisco Chronicle? We need a robust safety net, more welfare for laid off workers, including a financial bridge to retirement. They just want to pay them out until they're old. Wage replacement and benefit assistance are crucial. They also need to do some retraining to teach the refinery workers to code.
Where's Joe Biden when you need him? Just learn to code, you oil refinery roughnecks.
Oh, God, just can't fix it. You can't fix it, and you never will. As you mentioned, Joe Biden, he's no longer president. The human Roomba, no longer the most powerful man in the world. We now have Donald Trump, part 2. Let's go to the other federal story that I saw, because this policy seems oddly reminiscent of the human Roomba. And that is the fact that we're going to be sending weapons over to Ukraine.
Oh, come on.
Mr. President, are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard.
Okay.
Okay. One, weapons aren't primarily defensive or offensive. They're both. That's That's what weapons do. They help defend you and they help you harm others on the offense. But this is, again, where Donald Trump, sometimes I'm really like, dude, have you read the room? Because Ukraine was another big thing. We didn't want our money, definitely not our soldiers. We don't want our weapons going to Ukraine. And that was a big piece of what he ran on was, I'm going to stop that war. I'm going to get with Putin and we're going to stop it. And now we're going to send more weapons to them? Like, come on, dude. Which I'm sure somebody has informed Donald Trump of that clip and that John Ratcliffe rolled his eyes and threw his head back. And it's like, okay, maybe John Ratcliffe should run for president then, because he clearly was like, oh, what are we doing? Which that is the collective groan of the vast majority of the people who put Donald Trump back in the White House.
It did not pass me to see that, and then contrast it actually with Pete Hegseth that was nodding along,
Yeah.
which was tremendously disturbing to me.
Right. Like, come on, you guys. I mean, I know regardless of who the president is, whether I voted for him or not, we're not going to agree on everything. But the COVID jab, Ukraine, these are some big, easy ones. And you're missing the boat.
All right, let's lighten it up a little bit. I mean, we have to laugh at the Daily Mail. We laugh if we don't cry. All right, Daily Mail. The two maidens of Pompeii may have been
Okay.
gay lovers, scientists say. Now, do you know what the two maidens look like, Garrett?
No.
This is them. It's
Okay.
a bunch of fossilized people
Yeah.
who got rolled over by a volcano. Like boiling hot magma boiled these two people alive, but it means they're gay, according to the Daily Mail. So the experts say, as Mount Vesuvius erupted 2,000 years ago, two doomed residents of Pompeii clutched each other in their final moments, or the lava just pushed them together. Right? Trapped in an eternal embrace, they've come to be known as the Two Maidens. However, new DNA analysis on the body suggests that the iconic pair might need a new name. Researchers from the Max Planck Institute found that at least one, if not both, of the people were men. So it hasn't even been confirmed, but Daily Mail needs to have breaking news. While the true nature of their relationship remains unclear, experts say they may have been gay lovers. Experts point out that their suggestive positioning while their bodies were bombarded by thousands of pounds of molten rock, with one's head resting on the other's head's chest, indicates that they were LGBTQ.
No, it indicates no such thing. Okay. Oh, Steve.
Like, this is gay and retarded.
Both. You know what? Let's lighten it up even more. Another movie clip. Why not? It's Saturday. Another old one, but a good one. Austin Powers.
Liquid hot magma. Liquid hot magma. Liquid hot magma.
All right. Three's enough. But it's so. On one hand, I'm thinking misinformation, disinformation, experts appealing to authority, because the scientists, the quote unquote experts, are now coming out and saying they may have been gay. Okay.
It's not even definitive. They don't even confirm that one of them's a dude.
Right. And how would you? How would you know? How are you going to figure that out? They're fossilized. Can you even get readable DNA to even determine anything? Probably not. And let's say they are. Let's say they're two men. Maybe they're brothers. Maybe they're cousins. Maybe they're neighbors. And the liquid hot magma forced them together. Or maybe they were, I don't know, what did people do in Pompeii? Were they tilling their backyard to grow some wheat or something together? Like, hey, multiple hands make hard work easy, or whatever that saying is. And then, oh crap, there's liquid hot magma rushing at us. Like, love you, bro. Guess we're not going to get to make that beer when this wheat harvest is done, are we? I mean,
Maybe the structure they were in collapsed on them, and that's just how their dead bodies lay before the molten lava just cast over them.
maybe they were street vendors and they're selling fish or whatever people in Pompeii ate, and they were next to each other, and the liquid hot magma washed them together like that. I mean, we can come up with scenarios that may have occurred, just like they may have been gay.
That's misinformation, Garrett. Clearly, the two maidens were gay lovers. And
But-
men, by the way.
Yeah, of course, yes, gay men, not lesbians, but men. And it just makes me think again, like, don't listen to any expert ever again, unless there's some sort of reawakening period in human history that occurs, because you just can't trust anything they say. They all have some agenda. They all have some hidden goal in mind, whether it's the councilman in Denver or these gay dudes in Pompeii.
How many of those experts making that determination were gay?
Yes, that's what I want to know.
They're definitely all retarded. I don't know what they ate in Pompeii, but I know that you like grilled meat, Garrett.
Oh,
and
I
that's a
certainly do.
problem, according to Axios, on the
Oh,
next
no.
story on the Saturday Grab Bag here on the American Radicals podcast. Some nice fear porn. Grilling and cancer. Most Americans don't know the link. And this is came out before July 4th because they didn't want you grilling out for July 4th. So only
Well, yeah,
20%.
Between the firework fumes and the grilled meat, we're all gonna die.
According to the American Institute for Cancer Research, only 20% of Americans understand grilled meat's link to cancer.
Because we're
So
all stupid.
an institute that's predicated on cancer being front of mind doesn't think that it's front of mind enough. Consider the source. Grilling meats, including hot dogs, chicken, and fish, can create potential carcinogens. Plus, I think hot dogs are already a carcinogen, right?
Yes, that's what they load the tube steak with.
Grilling doesn't have this effect on all foods, though, Garrett. For example, tossing in some vegetables and fruits on the grill doesn't produce the same carcinogens. So you should have a vegan lifestyle. The
Okay.
bottom line, according to Axios, the safest protein option at the holiday cookout probably won't come from the grill. Instead, eat the soy, and the bugs don't need to be grilled. That's me editorializing.
I'll take a slice of grilled pineapple on top of my Hawaiian influenced burger. That's not made of Spam; it's made of ground beef. I'll give that a try. But okay, even like shish kebabs, some grilled peppers and onions, mushrooms. I'll take that too. But
Are you eating the shish kebab that don't have meat?
heck no, extra meat. Mine have extra meat.
All right, one more, and it is a very AMRAD pod sort of story for a Saturday grab bag, because the New York Times, which was at one point a newspaper, released its list of the top 100, the best movies of the 21st century. So it would be from 2001 to today, roughly a quarter of a century. I'm not going to run down all of them, but just to show you how it's the worst list of all time, Garrett, I'm going to throw out some key ones in there, okay? So the top 100 movies in the last 25 years, and Black Panther made the list at 96. I believe it's the only Marvel movie.
That's not even the best Marvel movie.
Okay.
I'm not going to dog on it. I enjoy the Marvel movies, but Black Panthers, I don't even know if it makes the top 5.
Well, but it was, reasons that were
DEI.
very apparent for the New York Times. It had to be. Okay. Gladiator at number 92. So should we just discard all the other 91 that are in front of it on the list?
Probably. That sounds like it should be a bit higher on the list.
Only one Lord of the Rings made it. The original, the first one, The Fellowship of the Ring, at 87. It was 2 behind Anchorman.
Oh, come on. Come on.
All right, we'll jump ahead the list to 73. The first Pixar one was Ratatouille, which is good. It's a solid movie.
Yeah. It's not higher than Gladiator or any of the Lord of the Rings.
No.
And
no.
honestly, it's not higher than Black Panther.
And they put Up ahead of it on as far as a Pixar movie went, and that was up to number 50. But before we get there, we have to have The Hurt Locker, which came out in the same year that what was the one with the blue people came out?
Avatar?
Avatar. Yeah, they were going against each other for the Best Picture award, and I remember
2008?
thinking at the time it's between Avatar, which is an anti-American imperialism movie, and The Hurt Locker, which is an anti-American military movie. I'm going to go with Hurt Locker because it didn't commit the sin of making a profit.
I struggled with Hurt Locker. I think we got the, as we endearingly called it in Iraq, the Haji copy. And it didn't take long for everybody to be filled with disdain for that movie because of how just awful it was from a realistic point of view. And I remember when, what was it, Jeremy Renner? Was he the main guy? Who stick to your own Marvel movies, my guy, because being Hawkeye is far superior than your role in Hurt Locker, where you're putting on a hooded sweatshirt and leaving your base in the middle of the night to go on, like, oh, it just was, it was awful. Anyways.
Moneyball was on the list, which was, I mean, the movie wasn't very good. The book was actually very interesting. That humble brag by me there. Okay. Number 37, Call Me by Your Name.
Never even heard of it.
Be grateful, because it's about a adult man grooming a teenage boy into having a pederast relationship. Oh, I was wrong. WALL-E was actually ahead, still on the list. WALL-E, which was a good Pixar movie. The Dark Knight, 28 on the list, the highest superhero movie. And then we got to go to Brokeback Mountain at number 17.
No.
Inglourious Bastards, which is a fictional story.
But it's good.
Number 14. Number 10 was The Social Network, a movie about Facebook.
With Justin Timberlake. Come on.
Number 8 was Get Out, for, again, very much like Black Panther. It had to be on the top 10.
I don't even know what that is. What's that one?
It's a horror movie by Jordan Peele.
Oh, okay.
And then No Country for Old Men, number 6.
Okay.
There Will Be Blood at 3.
Oh, I thought No Country for Old Men was better, to be honest.
And we're going to end it there. No, come on, I got to give you the number 1, right? The number 1 was a movie called Parasite. I'd never heard of it.
No one has ever heard of it. Nobody has.
Nobody in the American Radicals podcast has as well. So as the greatest takeaway, Gladiator, number 92 on the list. We probably should have disregarded the other 91 in front of it.
Are you not entertained?
I am on the Saturday grab bag edition, Garrett. All right, why don't you give us your final thoughts on the day, and then I have a nice little palate cleanse for us to close out the weekend.
Yes, sir. We're plugging right along. We'll be back with Nebuchadnezzar and the book of Daniel shortly here. But our jump off point is still Romans 13. Crucial bit of scripture here. And in verse 1, it starts, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is a servant of God, an avenger, who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer." And we will jump over here and pick up where we left off last time.
Chapter 4 is incredible. It's one of the great conversion stories in the Bible. It's the conversion of Nebuchadnezzar. And it's a first-person story. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, to all the peoples, nations, and men of every language that live in all the earth, may your peace abound. It has seemed good to me to declare the signs and wonders which the Most High God has done for me. How great are his signs and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. He was hard to convince. But there's a change in his attitude. Then he gives his testimony. I won't go through all of it. It's an amazing testimony. He has a dream. He can't figure out the meaning of the dream. Daniel tells him the meaning of the dream in verses 19 through 27. The dream is about him being cut down. It's a dream of a tree. It's him. He's going to be cut down, chopped down, nothing left but a small stump. Why? Well, because he needs to learn, verse 25, that the Most High is ruler over the realm of mankind and bestows it on whomever he wishes. So Daniel interprets the dream, and then in verse 27 says, let me give you some advice, O king. Break away now from your sins by doing righteousness, and from your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, in case there may be a prolonging of your prosperity. Here's another opportunity for this guy to say what he says and actually believe it. All this happened to the king. This is the interpretation of the dream. Verse 29, 12 months later, he's forgotten it again. And he thinks he's God. And he's reflecting on it. Is not this Babylon, verse 30, the great, which I myself have built as a royal residence by the might of my power and for the glory of my majesty? It's a soliloquy on his majesty. While the word was in the king's mouth, a voice came from heaven saying, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is declared sovereignty has been removed from you. You'll be driven away from mankind. Your dwelling place will be with the beasts of the field. You'll be given grass to eat like cattle, and 7 years literally will pass over until you recognize the Most High as ruler over the realm of mankind and bestows it on whomever he wishes. Immediately the word concerning Nebuchadnezzar was fulfilled. He was driven away from mankind, began eating grass like cattle. His body was drenched with the dew of heaven until his hair had grown like eagle's feathers and nails like bird's claws for 7 years. That is humbling. At the end of the period, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven, and my reason returned to me, and I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing. He does according to his will in the hosts of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and no one can ward off his hand or say to him, what have you done? And at that time my reason returned to me, and my majesty and splendor were restored to me for the glory of my kingdom, and my counselors and my nobles began seeking me out. So I was reestablished in my sovereignty, and surpassing greatness was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise, exalt, and honor the King of heaven, for all his works are true and his ways just, and he's able to humble those who walk in pride. Yeah, he learned that. I think you're going to see him in heaven. That's a real conversion story. The point that I want to make out of this is, it's always in the power of monarchs to do damage to the people of God. Always. That is why Proverbs 16:12 says it is an abomination for kings to commit wickedness, because it turns everything upside down. Only in righteousness is a throne established. Look, in Acts chapter 4, the Jewish leaders said to the apostles, stop preaching. In Daniel 3, Nebuchadnezzar said, stop worshiping. Again, in Daniel 6, we didn't read it. The ruler said, stop praying, or we're going to throw you into what? Lion's den. The governor of California says, stop singing. Stop hugging. But God's people don't stop. Because listen to me, no human authority is absolute. No human authority is absolute. I'll say it again, no human authority is absolute. All human authorities are only authorities as long as they function in the way God designed them. And when they don't function that way anymore, but they turn it on its head and do it in the reverse form, they yield up that God-given authority. Obviously, the fallout is horrendous.
We'll stop it there for this time. I hope that you all are starting to see why I'm going through this one a little bit more tediously than we have some of the others in the past, where we're just kind of plugging right through. One piece I just want to point out here. He read through it. It's Daniel 4:35. It might be my most referenced verse, at least in my personal time, that I go back to time and time again, where it says, all the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing. He does according to his will in the host of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and no one can ward off his hand or say to him, what have you done? Because it reminds me that whatever we're going through in our life, whatever we are dealing with, it is all ultimately by and through his hand, which can be very difficult to grapple with sometimes, especially when tragedy hits your life, or injustice, or wrong, or slander, or you fill in the blank, cancer. I mean, you name it. And yet we still know from this truth from Scripture that we can't ward off God's hand or say to him, what have you done? And I won't get into a lengthy explanation of what I think from a biblical standpoint that is, other than to say this: ultimately it is for his own glory, which is really, really difficult for us to grapple with at times. And then one other piece right at the end, he was talking about how no human authority is absolute. And this is why we go to Romans 13. And this is why we talk about what it says there, how government is supposed to be a servant for good and is to punish evil. And then he read it here in Proverbs 16:12. It's an abomination for kings to commit wickedness. An abomination. That's about as depraved as it can get in God's eyes, is to be an abomination. And yet we see wickedness on a global scale, and still, unfortunately, on a national scale here. And as we've covered today, even on a local scale too. But we'll pick it up and keep going next time.
Appreciate your interpretation of the word as always, Garrett. And for today's palate cleanse, how about some new words, some redneck words?
Speaking of words, I do have a few new redneck words for you. First one, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise, a lot of people here this evening. It's kind of a gift. They come to me in my sleep, I write them down. Brand new one, aorta. Aorta, cut that grass down by the ball field so that the kids don't get hurt. It's just not the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your life. Initiate. My wife ate 2 hamburgers. Initiate a bag of potato chips.
I was like, how's he going to do this one?
Man, Jeff Foxworthy, he's always the good, man.
Classic. Yeah.
Solid. All right. That will do it for us today on the American Radicals podcast. Back with you Tuesday, 10:30 Eastern time on rumble.com/amradpod. And until then, guys, have a great weekend.
You've been listening to the voice of the Suspendables on the American Radicals podcast. Follow us on rumble.com/amradpod.